Hello, my name is Franklin Fearman, and this is the Frankly Speaking podcast. It's November 4th of 2012, and we have about 2 days from the next election in the United States. And I would just like to make a comment about the coming elections and address a few points that I think are important points to consider. And of course, everything that you're hearing right now is my personal opinion and should be taken with a grain of salt. As everyone who, as my old man used to say, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Now, this coming election, to me at least, is very anticlimactic. And most recently, I just posted something on my Facebook account saying that may as well just vote for the Cookie Monster or Count Chocula for president. And I received a little bit of flack for that, but I think that it needs to be... I need to admit that that was a glib statement by me, and that further... On paper, in all the textbooks, the presidential election is the most important election of the country. But in my opinion, in reality, it's not. And that even according to the last administration, the Barack Obama administration, and I'll admit for people that don't know me very well, that I voted for Obama for president, not because I thought that he was going to do anything better than John McCain. I think that the Republicans and the Democrats are two forces both trying to grab the wheel of a car, and they're trying to drive it off a cliff. Now, whether they know that or not, it's not the point. The car is going right off the cliff, and both parties may or may not know that, but whenever one party's in control over the other, they still tend to drive us off the cliff. It's not like I've ever seen a president in my lifetime turn the car around and try to take it away from the cliff. I've never seen that in my life. A lot of people tend to apologize for Bill Clinton by saying that he got rid of our debt. And I know that that's a talking point, and the thing about talking points is if they're said enough times or you hear them enough times, as Goebbels said, that it didn't make any difference if it was true or not, because the more often that you tell something, the more easy it is for people to believe it, and therefore it becomes the truth. That's basically the nature of truth versus lies. Now, I voted for Obama because, I wanted to, further the civil rights movement, and I figured having a black man in presidency would be pretty much the highest office that an African American could reach in the United States. And further, I wasn't going to vote for McCain or Palin, obviously, because that was a horrible ticket. I think that the difference between McCain and Palin and Barack Obama and Joe Biden is far different than the difference between Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Mittens Romney and Paul Ryan of Wisconsin. I think that those two are very different elections that we're in, and that's why I think that this election cycle is kind of a non-starter. Now, as to why I would just vote for the Cookie Monster versus the presidency, the thing that I'd like to say about that is that when I say things like that, it's that I would hope that people would finally get off of this left-right paradigm that they found themselves in and sort of realize the truth, and that's that both parties are being financed by the richest people in the world, CEOs of corporations donating money to their favorite campaigns. Now, it makes sense then that General Electric would finance both campaigns, because they're basically hedging their bets, so that, if the one guy wins, well, that guy received a bunch of money from them. He's not going to turn around and pass any legislation that's going to affect their business. I just watched a documentary last night about Barack Obama and the different kickbacks he gave to his people that helped him out become presidency. And further, about 6 months ago, I read a book by Tariq Ali about Barack Obama called The Obama Syndrome. Again, discussing this sort of Chicagoland style of politics that Obama comes from. Now, Obama has had 4 years to prove or disprove himself as being a good president. Romney hasn't. I'm not defending Romney, I'm not going to vote for him, but Romney hasn't proven that he's a bad president. And of course, this is where the instantaneous debate comes in by people who are emotionally attached to Barack Obama for some reason. He's not my homeboy. He's not your homeboy. You're not on the winning team, even if you're like one of his voters. Don't kid yourself. You're not on his team. Unless you're a millionaire, you're not on his team. But I hear that people would right away say, "Oh, well, he's a great president." Well, I don't see that. Like, for me, dealing with lip talk or lip service, different social issues that are important to you, yes, that's important. But unless you're addressing like serious issues, for me, the big issues are police state news. Which president, I can't say that because Romney hasn't been president yet. Not going to say that he wouldn't do this because Republicans have to play the role of, big bad super cop on campus, like shooting guns and asking questions later, They have to play that part. So don't kid yourself. If Romney became president, he wouldn't get rid of the drones in the sky that Obama's put in the sky under the FAA bill of February of 2012. Look it up. I'm not an idiot. National Defense Authorization Act of 2012. Signed by Barack Obama in the dead of night. New Year's Eve. C-SPAN. The authors of the bill say, look, don't blame us. The Obama administration told us to put the provisions in that say that we should be able to detain American citizens without trial indefinitely. Go look that up. It's on C-SPAN. You can look that up. I'm not going to say that you're an idiot, but if you don't go look this stuff up, you're not wise. And the opposite of a wise person is a foolish person. Furthermore, people on both the left and the right side right now are suing the Obama administration over the bill that he passed into law. And furthermore, it's come out that the White House administration has, behind the scenes, fought tooth and nail to keep the provisions in there that would allow for these unconstitutional detentions. While at the same time, the White House administration, or I should say Obama has said that he does not intend on using the provisions that he sought to put in there in the first place. So, and when you look into Obama's history, you'll find it rife in his history on the Senate floor of the Illinois State Senate, that he oftentimes, and this is quoted in Tariq Ali's book. Tariq Ali is a left-leaning author, so don't get into the whole left-right paradigm of, oh, well, he's a conservative, of course he'll say something bad against Obama. No, you can't do that with Tariq Ali. He criticized Bush, criticized Obama. He's what we call an intelligent person, a moderate. Now, in that book, he quotes the book Black and White. I forget the author's name, but Black and White, a former colleague of Senator Obama's, claimed that Obama would tell him that all you have to do is just tell people that you're for or against something, but just vote for or against it, whatever's popular, tell people. And whatever is best for your corporate interests, just do that. So that's Obama's past and that's his history. Now, I want to say that the real solutions are coming up more locally. And these are the things that should actually be on the burner. See, people are so lazy, they expect that the federal government would pass a law and that would somehow do away with prejudice or racism. Those things can't be gotten rid of with a magic wand called an act of Congress. You can't just pass a Civil Rights Act of 1964 and make racism go away. Just not the way it works. You need to see civil disobedience by that group that is being oppressed, if they be oppressed, and that civil disobedience is in everyone's face to see these are real people, and they have real issues and real oppression that's happening to them. Are women being oppressed in this country? I don't see it. Are gays and lesbians being oppressed simply because they are gay and lesbian? I don't see that. And further, I can't see institutional prejudice against either group. So far, women have a right to have an abortion. That is it's not a right, but it's at least not an illegal procedure. Is it still up to a doctor whether or not he or she wants to perform it based on their own values? Yes, but that's as far as you can really take such a thing. Which is why, conversely, if you lived in a state that said that they're going to ban that procedure, well, you can't just rest on your laurels and say, please, federal government, step in with a law taking these bad guys away. Like, no. If you really believe in something, you have to go down to your state capitol. You have to go in your local community and hang up signs. You have to call your state governor, your state legislature, your state representatives, and tell them that you don't want this to happen. You have to be proactive. You can't be lazy. And of course, that's the real problem, is that people want to be lazy. They assume, oh, I'll just vote for this one guy. Oh yeah, he says he's for all the things I'm for, so yeah, I'm just gonna vote for that guy. And then just, forget about it for another 4 years. And that's the sort of the problem and the trouble that we've got ourselves into. And coming back to the original point of me recording this, is that both parties are run by corporate interests. And both parties, and I can't speak for Mitt Romney, he's never been my president, but both parties are pro-foreign war, pro-authoritarian police state within the United States. Both parties are big spenders, big government spenders, Republicans and Democrats, big government spenders. Both parties love having an unlimited credit card through the Federal Reserve banking system, their fractional reserve system, to spend on whatever pet projects they want. And both parties are guilty of this. And I'm not saying that my personal solution to that would be austerity measures, but don't create new bureaucracies. Don't create new departments. If there's a department that seemingly is useless, get rid of it. Pass laws that make sense. If you and your friends are politically minded, and you and your friends can sit around and come up with solutions, it's quite obvious that the solutions aren't the thing that our political leaders aren't figuring, because quite obviously they are well aware of what the solutions are. It's just that they either can't or won't do anything about it. And that comes back to the money to interests, Like when Al Gore and Bill Clinton pushed NAFTA, which basically shipped all of our jobs, or allowed for headquartered companies in the United States to move offshore. Well, duh, of course they were going to move offshore. That would be the obvious thing. They can pay their workers in China pennies for what American workers were demanding a decent living wage for. So what happened? Within 10 years, all of our manufacturing base, or I'm just speculating here at the number, I would say 90%, 85% of our manufacturing factories moved overseas, where they had less environmental regulations to follow and less of a responsibility to pay a decent living wage.